Unless anybody else needs use of the frequency, the 2 a.m. net will start in about a minute and a half. KC9UDX net control here. Good evening. This is Kilo Charlie Niner Uniform Delta X-Ray. My name is Matt, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation, and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kcs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. When checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, come now, please.
Good evening, Matt, W9GCC.
All right, we've got one so far. Recognizing W9JCC, welcome to the net, Frank. One of our most loyal check-ins. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please.
Whiskey Bravo 9, Bravo Whiskey Papa.
All right, got one more. Recognizing WB9BWP, welcome to the net, Dave. Do we have anybody else? All right, hearing none. I guess the most obvious thing to talk about here tonight would be the eclipse yesterday. I did get home just in time to see it. I got some good pictures with my phone with no other filters or anything. Back in 2017, excuse me, we had a partial eclipse here also. And I discovered by accident that I could get very clear images of the eclipse on my phone by tilting the phone a little bit. There's some kind of reflection inside of the camera lens. It seems to happen with every camera that you point at the sun, which I always used to think was a bad thing to do, but I guess it's okay to do with these modern cameras. But anyway, you can sort of manipulate the image by just moving the moving the camera or the phone around a little bit until you get a clear picture on the little reflection. And I was able to do that again this time a little bit even better because I was expecting to be able to do it. I also tried taking pictures through my welding helmet, which gave a much better view, just looking at it. But the phone would not cooperate and focus on the image there. It wants to focus on the surface of the lens inside of the helmet instead of the actual image. So I guess the only other things I can say about that is we had a very eerie quiet right before the peak of it yesterday. All the birds started getting yappy as it was getting dimmer, and then it got dead quiet, and then the birds started going nuts again, I guess. And the other thing I noticed, I don't know if this is a coincidence or what, I was watching through my welding helmet, or at least through the lens from it. I was watching the end of the eclipse, and at the very instant the last sliver of the moon moved away from the sun, at that exact instant you could feel the heat of the sun again. I don't think that seeing that had anything to do with it. Probably the amount of heat from the sun worked its way through the atmosphere. I have no idea how that works, but that's what I experienced anyway. Other than that, I guess not too much to report. Nothing particularly new here. Pretty much just working, and that's about it. So we'll go to the top of the list. Frank W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, KC9UDX, W9JCC, and good evening to Dave as well, Lord. And we watched the eclipse map as well. My experience was that, of course, we were only at 91%, as from what the weatherman said here. I did notice that one of the guys on the 40 meter and mentioned that the color temperature changed. And when he mentioned that, I think that's what I noticed here too. That the brightness didn't go down a whole lot, but it just had like you said, a little eerie feeling to it. And the thing I noticed the most was that the interior to the house illumination went way down. It was like almost like when it gets dark outside. We lost a lot of illumination inside the house, and we didn't have a whole lot of lights on, but you could definitely tell there was a big change in the indoor brightness. And it did get cooler. Notice that it wasn't until a bit later after the eclipse went by that the sun core started to warm up again. And it warmed up quite nicely. About an hour later, it was nice and toasty in there again. So I did get some glasses. So I just used the glasses to look at it. And after I got the glasses, I made a pinhole camera, which sort of worked, but I was not too crazy about the image. It was pretty small and pretty close. So I couldn't really make out much detail. It was just a little orange dot on the screen. So maybe I didn't make the camera long enough, I don't know, but it did work okay. I just used an old family-sized Ritz cracker box and put a piece of white paper on the bottom, cut a couple of holes on each side, and made a pinhole and some aluminum wrap on one side for a pinhole and left the other side open. Well, it seemed to work okay, except lousy picture. But anyway, I'm glad we could see it. Too bad we couldn't have the full eclipse. That would have been a little more interesting. I think, from what I heard, you could watch that without the glasses once it was 100% without damage to your eyes. So that would have been kind of neat. Anyway, I heard Steve give the QST on
All right, thank you, Frank. And yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a total eclipse here, within hundreds of years. I have no idea. Certainly not in my lifetime, and there's not expected to be. We had a annular one, which was 90-something% in 1994. That was the most spectacular one I can remember. It got pretty dark for that one, and pretty cool. I remember that. But I didn't have any way of looking at it at that time. And I guess when I was a kid, I made a pinhole camera. We must have been watching a different one. Different partial eclipse at some point. I couldn't even guess when that would have been. My wife did something interesting. In lieu of a pinhole camera, she just took a colander and held it up above the ground, and you could see on the ground a pretty clear image. I don't know why more people don't do that. Of course, with the colander, you get 100 images instead of just one, but it's, at least from what I could tell, it was better than a pinhole camera normally is. Unless I suppose you build a much better pinhole camera than I've ever seen. And otherwise, I guess I'll have to say thank you to Steve. I may have heard about it before, but I guess I'm not aware of a West Side repeater. Somebody may have told me about this in the past, and I wrote it down here somewhere. But I guess the problem is I just don't get on FM at all anymore. Anyway, next we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Good evening, guys. All three of us here so far. Maybe Steve will get around to the tower, and who knows who else may drop by. Since the weather was fairly warm, I was outside walking, and I always have an HD making noise in my pocket. I did hear Carol on, I don't know what repeater, but he was out and about earlier today. Yesterday, I was watching the eclipse on TV on various channels. I was on the radio, actually, for the eclipse QSO party run by the ham science guys out of, one of them is Case Western University. I don't remember the other one. I think the guy that's, he's a physics professor. He gets a bunch of grant money for hand stuff, actually. And they're going to be analyzing data from logs that are sent in, and from things like PSK Reporter, which is an automated system that's receiving digital signals all over, and a couple of other sources. And trying to figure out, what, if any, effects there are in the ionosphere, and whatever it takes to get grant money. I didn't make a lot of contacts. I made like 15. But I bounced around across all bands. I actually made one contact on 160 meters during the eclipse. And afterwards, I went back there, and the band was completely dead. Not a signal, not even noise, other than atmospheric noise. So, did that have an effect? I don't know. But anyway, that was my contribution to the world of science. That sounds good. And then, like I said, I was watching on various channels here on the monitors. Stand by just a moment here. 20 meters. And, like I said, last week I heard him, and it was weak. I could make out like every other word. Last night, it was as strong as you guys. Unfortunately, so was the pilot. And I couldn't get through, and then he called it quits on his end. So, but anyway, that was my radio experiences here for the last few days or so. So I'll send this back. This is WP9 BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And that's interesting. I guess I didn't think about the radio aspects, but you sure would expect that would have some kind of effect, and I would say that your experience on 160 meters probably demonstrated that. Obviously the entire ionosphere is not going to change, but parts of it you would think would have to. And of course, we should have been getting less interference from the sun. I guess I didn't think about that. At that time, I wouldn't have really had an opportunity to get down here and try anything, but I guess I'll have to remember that for next time. But that reminds me, I've got to, one of these days, if I ever get time, hook my KW radio up to a dummy load and figure out why it is I had determined that after I replaced the capacitors it was not usable. And at least then I can get on 160 meters again. And I think the only things on my calendar, well, the only thing would be the annual picnic for the MRAC, which I assume has been or will be canceled. Not enough people signing up. I cannot commit to that, unfortunately. I most likely have to work. That's just the way it works out this year. In fact, I will most likely have to work all weekend for field day. We'll see. Hopefully not, but at this point it sure looks that way. And other than that, I guess we're at the bottom of the list. Let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
This is November 9, Foxtrot Sierra Echo.
Hi, this is November 9, Charlie X-Ray Kilo. Hello.
All right, got two more. Recognizing N9 FSE, welcome Steve, and thank you for putting out the QST about the net. And also recognizing Carol, N9 CXK, welcome to the net. And you must be on a different radio tonight because you sound very different than normal. So, do we have anybody else? Come now, please. All right, hearing none, we'll go right to Steve, N9 FSE from KC9UDX.
Before me twice here now, but EB9DW. I take it you're not hearing him, Matt. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, I'm gonna turn it over to him. We'll get a signal level and some remarks at least, and then I'll pick it up. EB9DW. Take the 2 a.m. net for a round.
CXK. Hey!
All right. Tune up my ears a little more, but hey, it's pretty short, so I'm being careless. But hey, all right. Didn't do much for the eclipse this time. 2017 went down to St. Joe's, Missouri. We were tuned into a fully cloudy sky. We got to see the streetlights come on and then reverse all that. So this year we stuck around close to home and had clear skies, although we probably could have gone somewhere and got a better shot. Looks like the next opportunity, you got to go a little bit northwest for 2044. If anyone's still around on that one. And then the next ones are way out. And I tried a few things at the shop. Our salesman's wife was kind enough to buy us all some glasses, so we had something to play with. We got out on the dock. Got to see stuff get covered up by there, and birds going. We usually got a lot of birds out on the docks, and they got quiet and all too. Didn't play anything on radio with that so much, but did a pinhole, tried to do a multi-pinhole with a little basket type deal, and that wasn't so fruitful. Brought a big milk crate out, and that was even worse. So we tried and had fun with what we had there. Saw a little bit of the Dr. Telescope on YouTube, so that was a few QSO parties on YouTube, so that was neat stuff there. So boys enjoy that. Next event will be Saturday that I know of. Maybe we'll see if I can get myself out to Stoughton for the usual business out there for the Mira Swap Fest at Stoughton. So we'll see how we do getting out that way early Saturday morning. Hopefully I can make it happen like I did for Jefferson, and then not long after that is Cedarburg, 1 week early. So I think that's what we got for now, and happy to share with Westside. I didn't look up their channel. It's programmed in the radio, and it says Westside on my radio. You got two channels, one's a 440 something and a 275 maybe. I have to look it up. And the other one's on 444. Oh my goodness. So various things there. With that, we'll send her back up to you, Matt. I'll get some more S-meter readings written down here as usual. Got you with actually I should finish off. Everybody's at the usual. 30 over for Matt, 60 over for Frank, 30 over for Dave. Average about that same for Dale, and you got to pick up Carol's numbers yet. Up to you, Matt. That'll be KC9UDX, N9FSE.
All right, thank you, Steve. And Dale, I put you down at number 4 here. I had to move my numbers around a little bit. After you mentioned Dale was there, his signal came way up. I got him at a 3.5 on the meter, and I could clearly hear him say his call sign and name. And then after that, I could tell he's talking, and that's it. So I suppose, Dale, since you're listening on YouTube, I should be talking to you in second person instead of third person, but I'll call you in order the next time around, and I guess try to yell into the microphone, and we'll see if I can hear you any better. I should be doing a little better talking closer to the microphone too. And Steve, that's one thing I forgot to mention. There was a very rare sight yesterday that something's happening in the sky, and we could see it, because normally it's complete cloud cover, or it's raining, or something. And you mentioned the one in 2017. We did not have clear skies then. I have lots of pictures. We had mostly cloudy, and there were just enough breaks in the clouds where you could see something once in a while. But actually, some of the clouds were kind of thin, and it actually helped dim the sun a little bit, so you could Well, you know, in my case, I've got a welding helmet that's shade 13, and that's not quite enough for looking at the sun. I mean, it's safe to do that, I think, but it would be nice if it was darker. Those eclipse glasses, in my opinion, are way too dark. I wish I could get something in between there. But when it was cloudy with the welding helmet, it was just about perfect. Kind of like last year when we had all the smoke in the air, and I was able to take pictures of the sunspots because of the smoke in the air that brought the brightness down just enough. And with that, we'll go to Carol and 9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net at 9CXK. Okay, you said that I didn't sound right. I don't know, this is the radio I have always used on the net here. Is it alright?
I'd say it's fine. Maybe it's my ears, but you sound, I don't know, I think you sound different. Maybe, like I say, maybe my ears are just off.
Okay, well, I listened to myself on some of the YouTube videos, and I thought I should bring up the mic gain. Should I try that?
It probably wouldn't hurt.
Okay, there I just gave it a little bump. N9CXK. Alright. Well, I guess I don't have as many stories to tell as everybody else. I went all over the week. We were out of town all last week. We were in Detroit at my daughter's house. I guess we missed the monsoon. It wasn't nearly that bad over there. But when I came back, I was trying to find eclipse glasses, and I never did find any. I was probably 8 places, at least. Burlington and East Troy and Maquanago and all around, and I didn't find any, so I quick made a pinhole camera, and we enjoyed that. But yeah, it sure didn't get dark here. In fact, I really thought at 90% we would notice it. It really was the difference between 2 o'clock in the afternoon and maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't really much of a difference. And what I gathered from listening around the internet and things, that even the people that they said that even at 99%, everything was still illuminated outside until it went to 100% coverage. So I guess the sun is putting out so much energy that it's pretty hard to block it. So there you have it. I heard someone talking yesterday, maybe, about being on the air during the eclipse, and they were on 10 meters, and they were talking to somebody on 10 meters, and when totality was achieved, their 10-meter band went dead. But they switched to 80 meters, or 75, and they said the band just came alive for that 3.5 to 4 minutes. And as soon as totality was over, 80 meters just became a daytime hash fest again, and they were able to resume their 10-meter contact. So that was a good indicator for me that it actually does change the ionosphere, and the changes occur pretty quickly. NASA sent up 3 rockets yesterday that were supposed to do some research on what happens during the eclipse to the ionosphere. So we ought to be hearing about that, I would think, sometime. And let's see, last night, Dave, I was listening to the net, and you mentioned that you were after somebody at 20 meters. So I went over there, and I listened, and I found the guy, and I called him one time, and he answered me, and I worked him. So I don't know. Where is he? I don't even know where he was, but I still have to look it up. I didn't have time last night, so we'll have to see where that is. I assumed he was another station down in the Caribbean somewhere. It's kind of a similar type of call to the other day, so I don't really know. I don't know. Yeah, our trip over to Detroit was uneventful. We went there and back. Hang on. And we didn't have any slow-ups either way this time, so it was fabulous. There is a tremendous amount of construction on the tollway down there in Illinois, but we were in the early afternoon coming home, and we just buzzed through there. No slow-ups at all, so I was very happy about that. Oh, and yes, I went back to work yesterday. Today was a safety meeting. Oh man, it's just it's quite a grind. I think I'm back to normal now, but it was just hard to sit down, answer the phone, talk to all kinds of people about nothing and all that. So, but tomorrow's kind of a field trip. I have to go down to Darien, Wisconsin. There's a brand new big solar farm down there. We're putting in some metering because it is our farm, but we have metering on there, and I have to go down and we have to test that. So that'll be kind of fun going away from Milwaukee for real, which will be just fine. So yeah, like I said, I listened to some of the old YouTube videos, and they were kind of fun to listen to. And yeah, kind of neat hearing yourself. I wasn't as taken aback by listening to myself as I used to be, I guess. So maybe I just sound better. I don't know. N9CXK, over.
All right, thank you, Carol. And I guess I don't know what it is. I cannot stand the sound of my own voice, so I guess I understand. What was I going to say? Oh, I noticed today driving home, either everybody went back to work or back home after the eclipse, or everybody's going on vacation, because westbound 94 on my way home from work was extremely crowded. It was like a holiday weekend, at the start of a holiday weekend, which was kind of strange. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know. Traffic patterns in recent years have gotten kind of strange. And I'll let the other guys comment. I think that when you had the mic gain lower, it was probably better, but it's probably a horse apiece. I don't know. We'll see what the other guys say. I'm not a real good judge of that stuff. I guess I'll have to look it up. We had that annular partial eclipse here in 1994. It did get reasonably dark. I remember we had mostly clear skies that day too, and it got reasonably dark. Not nighttime dark, but it did get pretty dark. So I don't know what the difference was. I thought it was only around 90%. Maybe that's wrong. It's been a long time. 30 years, of course. One thing I should say that I always find interesting, when the sun is mostly eclipsed and you look at it, which you're not supposed to do, it still looks perfectly round. And if you point a camera at it without any protection, it looks perfectly round. I never quite wrap my head around that one. Of course, if you darken it up, then you see a sliver, but otherwise you'd think you wouldn't see something perfectly round. You'd think you'd see a different shape or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that. Anyway, we are at the bottom of the list. We'll see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
Roger. Kilo Sierra, Niner, Quebec.
All right, recognizing KS9Q. Welcome, Jim. Do we have anybody else? Well, hearing none, we'll go to you, Jim. KS9Q from KC9UDX.
Alrighty. KC9UDX and the net. This is KS9Q. First off, how is my audio level?
Sounds perfect to me.
Alright, well, we'll take it. Let's see, pretty decent last couple of days. Came to a realization that our water pressure in Waukesha is higher than it should be. And for about the last 6 months or so, my pipes have been thumping, and we've just had some odd behavior of the plumbing, including stepping into the shower and feeling like there was needles flying at your back while you're standing there. And my daughter noticed it, my wife noticed it, and it just finally I called a plumber out here, and I had him bring a gauge, and he put it on. He said, "Yep, sure enough, you're at 90 psi." And at the water heater, he checked it; it was 97, and he said it's supposed to be more like 60. So we put a restrictor regulator valve in there so that the water pressure would stay at a constant 55 to 60. And it's been kinder and gentler, and the pipes don't go bang every time the washing machine stops filling. So we'll call that a W. And other than that, yeah, things going pretty decent. Actually cleaned up in the shack a little bit, so I don't know what to do with myself. It actually looks halfway good down here. We'll leave it there for now. Back to that. This is KS9Q.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And I guess I could be wrong. It's been a few years, but I used to do building maintenance on some buildings in Waukesha, and I thought the pressure was always 80 psi. And of course, I would have known that from measuring it myself, but maybe I'm remembering wrong, or maybe it was 80 psi, or maybe that's something you get in an industrial park versus residential. But you would think it's lower than that. Otherwise, I know mine is, I think, 40 on my well. Maybe 45. I don't. I guess I'd have to look at. I think it's 40 psi. I know it's significantly lower than municipal water is. But I can imagine what that's like, having almost 100 psi. That's kind of scary. And I hope that your plumbing didn't get any damage from that. Excuse me. And otherwise, I guess I'll note everybody's signal strength here. Frank, you're pegging the needle as always. Dave, your signal is a little higher. Normally you're 6. Tonight you're 6.5 out of 10. Steve, you're down from 9 to 8. Carol, you're down from 8 to 7. I don't have good history for Dale, but that might. I think that 3.5 is up from normal. And Jim, I don't have signal reports here. Oh, 9.5. I'd say your signal is normal, but you're close enough that it probably is inconsequential. And we're at the bottom of the list again. Before I go back to the top of the list, I'll try again to see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. All right. Hearing none, we'll go back to the top of the list. Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thanks, Matt. KC9UDX and the net W9JCC, and good evening to the other stations that checked in there, Steve, Carol, Dale, and Jim. I'm surprised you haven't heard about the West Side repeater, Matt. You're in a real good location for it because you're probably closer than any of us to the repeater site. I'm trying to think of what road it's on there, but it escapes me. I think it's on that big tower you see on off of Racine Avenue as you're heading toward Racine or Kenosha there. I guess it would be on Racine Avenue. But anyway, 440.200, that's the overall repeater. And Steve could probably explain it better than me, and I think it's got the standard offset and so forth. But you could bring that up with HT from your basement, I think, without any trouble. I could bring it up with a tenth of a rod on the back patio from where I am. And I'm about 5 miles or so further than you are. I did check the radio during the eclipse, but I didn't spend much time analyzing anything. I came down for just a couple of minutes and didn't have anything to compare it to, so I just went back upstairs. So nothing to report there. And as far as the solar glasses, Menard's had them at least a couple of days before for 99 cents. I ended up going over to Myers, go to $1.99, but it was a lot closer for me, so I just went over there and picked up a couple. And I ended up making a pinhole camera too, just for the fun of it. And the pinhole didn't really impress me too much. Maybe I didn't make the box big enough or something, but the image was pretty doggone small and not very good resolution. So the glass worked like all that better. And as far as the audio goes, it sounds okay. It's a little bit on the bassy side. If you listen to Jim, KS9Q, his audio and your audio are not exactly the same, but pretty close as far as kind of the tone of the audio. If you listen to Matt, his is real crisp and has a lot of brightness to it. Whereas yours are on the bassy side, but it sounds just fine. I think my timer went off, and I don't set my timer or take it off either. I don't want to take the trouble to figure out how to do it. Anyway, I think you need to get that exact totality if you want to get everything dark. And then I guess you can look at it without your glasses too. My son was over the other day and he turned on the water faucet. He thought it was pretty high pressure, and I didn't think anything of it because it was fine with me. We don't have any pipes banging or anything like that. We got the, I guess it's an aero, what do you call it, damper, we have on the downstairs wash tubs. And never had the problem with the pipes banging, at least not recently. But I didn't know it was up that high. And I don't have anything to check it with, but I like having it high because when I'm doing the dishes, I pull that little remote sprayer out, and that thing puts it out pretty good, and it cleans the sauce and everything off the dishes real nice and fast. So anyway, not too much more to report. Good hearing a pretty good group here tonight, so back to mid control, KC9 UDX, W9GACC.
All right, thank you, Frank. And that reminds me, something I forgot to mention to Jim. Jim, if you had water hammer before, you may still have it and not realize it. And it would probably be a good idea, if you haven't done this recently, to drain all of the water out of your pipes and then turn the water back on. Turn the water off and drain everything out, and then turn it back on. If you haven't done that in a long time, the water hammer arresters will fill up with water, and then that can cause that. If you have good water hammer arresters, which everybody should have, You shouldn't have any hammering even at higher pressure like that. But I guess I don't know what kind of valves they put in newer washing machines or anything either, so I don't know. And I guess I'll have to check out that repeater. I thought the 9-1 repeater was around that area, the only tower in that area that I know of. Maybe I am wrong about that. Maybe they're on the same tower. Since getting what is the word for that when they put the metal particles in the windows? I got new windows here a number of years ago, and passivated. These windows are passivated, and since then I cannot get into the 9-1 repeater from in the house anymore. So maybe on 440 that's different. Probably. So I guess I'll have to try that. I guess I don't know who runs the repeater, but it would be handy to have something like that just for when I'm communicating with my daughter. Sometimes we get out of range on simplex. It would be nice to use a repeater. Unfortunately, when we use some of the bigger, more used repeaters, when we get on and try to make contact, then it seems like everybody else gets on and tries to help out, which isn't always helpful. So maybe that's something to look into. The one I missed was the 220 repeater in New Berlin. That one I could get in no problem anywhere around here on low power. I suppose maybe a close 440 repeater like that would be good in that respect too. But that New Berlin one was closer than the one you're talking about there. Anyway, next we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
All right, and welcome to the other guys that in here. I can hear everybody, even Jim. He's probably the weakest of the bunch here, but perfectly readable. Our water over here, we have a well, and the tank, the pump runs between, when it hits 40, it takes it up to 60. So that's where that pressure stands. I didn't mention last time, I did the radio stuff, yesterday and all that, and I did notice the temperature dropped 5 degrees during, and it went back up afterwards. And yes, Carol was sorry, you was talking about the 10 meters and 80 meters and stuff. I was saying earlier, I was doing the equipment QSO party, and I was just running across all the bands. And I made a 160 meter contact during. I have to check the exact time here in the log. But when I went back later, afterwards, there was not a signal to be found on 160. And the station I was looking for, and was in Kuwait, and his call sign was 9K2GR. Don't know who else might have been flying around the band. But I heard them last week, and they were very weak. But last night they were stronger than half the people here tonight, maybe except for Steve. And so is the pilot. That's enough for you guys. So, let's stand by just a moment. I have my timer always running there so I can tell. I'll let Steve discuss all the tower situations. I do know, and this probably wouldn't affect your issue, Matt, about getting into 9.1 because you'd be going to the main site. But over the last years, they got rid of all of their remote sites. Well, maybe they kept downtown, I'm not sure. But anyway, let's see what else. Yeah, I don't know. That covered everything there on my notes, and so I'll just send it back to that once again. This is WB9.
All right, thank you, Dave. And I distinctly remember one time I was a responder on the 9.1 for a good amount of time, and more than one time I did this. But I would go out to Minooka Park, and I would operate from on top of the hill there, and you could literally see the tower for the 9.1 main site. And I remember there was a jammer, and he was jamming, me, obviously. I was on low power. When I turned up to high power, I could overpower him, still get into the repeater. But I remember Warren making the comment that I might be getting into a different one of the other sites, and maybe I should try to move closer to the main site. And I had to tell him, I can literally see the main site from where I was standing. Anyway, well, next we'll go to Dale, AB9DW. Dale, hopefully you can hear me. I suppose you'll hear me on YouTube anyway, but go ahead and take it away, Dale, from KC9UDX.
I copy you real good. Let's see. Take it over.
All right, well, Dale, unfortunately, I could not hear you. I guess I'll turn it over here to Steve in a little bit, and if there's anything he can relay, then otherwise, there were a couple airplanes going over when you were first talking. I couldn't tell you were even transmitting, and then after you after Steve turned it back over to you, after that, again, I'm getting good signal strength, and I can tell you're there, but I can't make out anything you're saying, unfortunately. And with that, we'll go to Steve, N9FSE from KC9UDX.
I keep super fine notes, but was commenting on the 9-1 and the sites, and as well as for Dave there. He was on the board of the 9-1 and as well, and the board eclipse traffic, and he was watching the cameras at school, and during the eclipse you noticed it got darker on the cameras, and then it got brighter right away. Reminds me of out at the shop, you can really tell the sun shining off the neighboring building wall is getting darker, and when I look to my left, I look out the front doors of our place, and that's got tint on it. I can tell when a storm's coming by how dark it is looking out the front doors, and it was kind of similar to that. It got dark pretty good by me. So, let's see, I don't know if like I said, I didn't keep doing more notes on Dale, but I guess I can do like as requested. I can comment on repeaters, and I was just going to write one more thing down, and I did here. Write that here. Here. 9-1 still, a couple of remote sites are still on the air, downtown and north site. They're both on the air yet, but they're not being used as receive sites at this time. I'll have to check with Corey or Kieran to see what their plans are, see if we get that going again or not. Which may happen, you never know. But they did a lot to square away the main site, that's for certain. And last year plus. And let's see. Repeaters, I got in the same room with me. Major Link UHF systems also in the room with me here, so we're very familiar with lots of these. Lots of plumbing involved, especially with the big system, but there's still plumbing even with the other one. If they're standalone on their own, Westside standalone on their own system there, and also brought to mind all my fun up in Washington County, where even if there's not repeaters in the county, there's a lot of receive sites for various systems, and that makes a difference for the weather program, because 513's got a nice receive site in central Washington County. 38 does, and it's also simulcast now, which it hadn't been, so that's kind of neat. So there's a big presence up in Washington County. Waukesha does as well, but some of the stuff out this way. And there's of course 9-1 wouldn't need one at their location, but you know how things go. Lots of ears, and makes things easier for the new users, the portable ops, and all that. So those are my comments on that. And then also, I still didn't write it down, but I'm going to mention it for those who follow more FM stuff. The WeCom system reappeared on Friday. The repeaters are there, but they've been de-linked for a few period of several months, and due to the magic of more than likely a kind soul up north, the hub is back. One of the hubs are back, and the thing is up and linked together for the most part, with the exception of fully decommissioned repeaters and the exception of Cambridge, which is still on the air but not linked to the rest of the WeCom network. So that's some neat news I've been spreading around. It's pretty quiet over there. It sounds even better because less of the riffraff crowd up lately, but I'm sure they'll figure it out sooner or later and be back in there. With that, so what I know at this time, I'm sure I missed some high points all along the way, but I wrote down numbers for Carol. I got him a 10 over, and then for Jim I got you a 20 over. So things are pretty average in here. Maybe the lower stuff by Matt is sap and leaves getting ready to pop in the trees there or something. That's my theory. And very good on eclipse propagation. Oh yeah, there was one more thing. See this in the AM net. Follow some AM groups on Facebook, and some of those guys were saying that it was pretty amazing. So, these stations from some good DX popped in here and there as they scanned the AM band during the eclipse, and they even heard a Mexican station. So he thought. So that's pretty cool. And unlike real nighttime, they wouldn't normally have to lower power, so there may have been really interesting opportunities for some good DX and some comments of stations that were moving around pretty quick on some channels. So with that, back to that. Matt, N9FSE.
All right, thank you, Steve. That's an interesting thought. The AM broadcast band, that would be a huge thing. I never even thought of that. Of course, in the days of analog TV, that would have been interesting too, but that's long gone, unfortunately. I really used to enjoy TV DXing, just a broadcast TV. There were times when I could pick up TV stations from Minnesota and Detroit, and you can't do that at all anymore. Of course, the picture wouldn't be very good, but you could still watch and understand what's going on. I guess I misunderstood. I was thinking on Racine Avenue, the 9-1 site, but if that west side repeater is at where you're at, that would be about the same distance as that 220 repeater was. That should be a lot better anyway. Like I said, I'll have to try it. I was unaware of the WECOM site going down, or the system going down, and I guess I was unaware of any riffraff on there too. I have no idea. I remember listening to that when they first started it up, and that was about it. Sometime after that, all my FM radios quit working here. They're all over the place in various states of disrepair here. I suppose I really need to get ambitious. I've got a couple of them that I got to cut the batteries out of, or they're never going to be repairable. Anyway, next we'll go to Carol N9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net, N9CXK. Well, thanks for the reports, everybody that mentioned it. I guess I'm okay. I should be the same as usual. But I don't know how to follow Steve. Even I can't ramble around quite that much. Yeah, Dave, that was the station I worked. 9K2GR. Then I sent him an email, and he responded right away this morning with an email, so we had a little chat there. That was kind of nifty. At least I added the personal touch to it even after the fact. So that was good for me. And I just can't remember what all was going on. Warren, I kind of forgot about Warren with his surgically implanted headset, but yeah, he was the character, all right. Enough said there. Enough said. I mean, I should say that back in the early to middle 70s, that's where I learned about ham radio and listening to 2 meters, and I had these tunable multi-band receivers and stuff, and that's what I was listening to. I was listening to those guys, all the 2 meter FM early adopters there. Boy, I remember just about all those guys. I still hear W9ULA on the 10 meter nets and the 2 meter nets. He's unbelievable. His activity level is higher than mine, I think. And he was one of the guys I used to listen to way back in the day. And yeah, I noticed, Dale, I could see Dale's signal come on the air, but yeah, I don't hear any audio at all. But I said that's got to be an airplane. But this signal was all over the place, anywhere from F1 to F6 here, up and down, up and down, up and down, that rapid oscillation. So I was pretty sure that's what that was. And Jim, you sound very good. I think your audio sounds just great, and you're as loud as I usually hear you anywhere, except maybe on a 2-meter repeater. But that's different. I was going to haul up some 10-meter, my 10-meter President Mobile tonight and try it with an antenna tuner that I picked up at the Swap Fest, but I really didn't get that far, so maybe I'll do a little bit of that after the net. I'll have a little time when I can pull stuff out and hook it up. Now it starts to look like I need another 10-meter antenna, another 10-meter vertical for other uses up on the roof. Well, that's gonna go over like a lead balloon, but maybe I can figure a way to do that somehow. But I'm very impressed with all the stuff that I have here. It's a modest station to say the least, but everything seems to work. So I'm happy about that. And when you said the Wiscom system is back, and I thought, Wiscom, holy cow! But you meant WeCom, I guess. And I'm sure that's what it was after you started talking. So WeCom, yes, WeCom's back. I had no idea. I mean, I listened to it today on and off. I never heard a thing. So I know who the riff-raff you're talking about is. We do use it for the Badger Weather Net first thing in the morning, but we're done by 7:15. And then there's some interesting conversations that go on. Interesting conversations that used to go on during the days and the early evenings. I even heard some guys yakking at like 2 in the morning one night. And I just want to get on and say, you guys, you're operating a dozen repeaters over the whole state for this drivel. Oh, but I would never say that. N9CXK.
Go ahead.
I gotta step out there, Matt. I gotta help with you with something. So, 73 is all the guys, and we'll catch you next time. W9GCC.
All right, thank you for letting us know, Frank. I'll say 7-3 to you, and we'll look forward to you next month if you can. And keep going. I guess I'll say thank you, Carol. And I guess a lot of guys have a lot of opinions about repeaters. To me, if somebody's in the middle of the night and they're on a big link system like that, if nobody else wants to use it, if anybody wants to use it, they could always break in, but if they're talking pretty quickly, I suppose that's a problem. In the past, I remember other guys, on local repeaters here, they're very, very much in simplex range, and they're quote-unquote tying up a repeater. And it becomes a problem when they don't leave a brakes to let anybody in. But otherwise, I never saw a problem with that. The one thing, I think I brought this up last month, the one thing that really bugs me is when guys say that you shouldn't use a repeater at all because you got to save that for emergency traffic. That always bothered me. Anyway, where was I? Next, I suppose we'll go to Jim, KS9Q from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX, and this is KS9Q. First off, Matt, I've got, this is one setting on the microphone, and I just threw a switch. This is the other setting. Do you notice a difference in the audio tonality?
Yeah, you've got a narrower type of sound on the second setting. I think the first one is preferable.
Okay, we will leave it on position 1 then. I don't have a monitor on, so I can't tell. But I was going to mention there is a Waukesha repeater on 220 megahertz. That's W9RIX. Rick, he operates that machine. It's on 224.82 and 127.3 on the PL. I have not been able to raise anybody on it, although I can hit it quite well from where I'm at. But if you're looking for a machine to use as a backup, that one might be worth considering, depending on where you are, how far you're trying to go, that kind of thing. But if you're out of the Waukesha area and you're just out of simplex range, that one might be worth a try. I also get on the 6-meter repeater fairly frequently, which is in New Berlin, and that's on 53.03. Talk to a friend of mine up in Cedarburg pretty regularly, and that repeater's got a pretty decent footprint as well. And the other repeater that might be worth looking at is on 444. I'm going by memory here. I think it's 444.125, and that's the one operated on the SUFAR's group out in Delafield. That's their UHF repeater. That one has real good accessibility, so might be worth a look-see as well. So yeah, we did have the system, the water system drained, and we have 2 sets of those shock stubs, and yeah, I'm sure those things got those were probably saturated, and but I was on the neighborhood the next door website, and a number of people have been noticing that hey, this pressure seems to be excessive, and one person contacted the city, and the city just kind of shrugged and said, well, we're sending it to DNR recommendations, and it's on the homeowner to deal with that, which makes absolutely no sense to me, because, I mean, if We Energies decided they're going to put 500 volts into your service entrance, that could cause all kinds of problems. I mean, there's got to be some sort of a reasonable spec for residential installations. I mean, after all, we are not operating fire hoses here. Anyway, I don't want to find out my radio, so I will throw it back to net, and I think I'm going to skadoosh here. I got a couple of things I got to do before I head to bed. We'll take some free on the transmission, and we'll listen for a few minutes. This is KS9 Feedback Connect.
All right, thank you, Jim. I will say 7-3 to you, and good having you here. And I'll have to check out that 220 machine. That sounds like a good deal. You know, not only would it be useful, but using it might drum up some other activity. I think I only have one radio that can get into that 6-meter repeater. I only have one 6-meter FM. Well, I got 2. I got the Gonset, which I can technically do FM. But I've got a handheld here somewhere that I modified. It's not supposed to work on 6-meter, if I remember, and I modified it to work. But that one's got other issues, and it's disassembled. It does still work, but it doesn't work well. And that SUFAR's repeater, I remember using that back when I used to bike on the Glacial Drumlin Trail. That has very good coverage in that area. And I guess I forgot about that. You know, I've been away from this stuff for so long. I used to know all the repeaters around here, and now I just don't anymore. Part of the problem is the repeater directories aren't what they used to be. You used to be able to get the ARRL book, and it had everything in it, and it was accurate. now you got these different websites or whatever they are. You know, the one group created all the information, the other group stole it, and there's I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information anymore anyway, as far as that stuff goes, at least as far as I could tell. And we're at the bottom of the list. Let's see if there's any last minute check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. Alright, none heard. My transmitter seems to be holding up for if it's the crystal, which I think it is. The crystal seems to be holding up very well tonight, surprisingly. But I can't get complacent. I gotta keep watching that, because just when I think it's working good, then it quits. Anyway, I think we'll do the 7-3 round. But as always, there's no hurry. Take your time. And I guess if we get to the bottom of the list and we need to go around again, we can. But otherwise we'll do the 7-3 round and start out with Dave, WB9 BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Take a peek here. Looking to see what's on the calendar. NYC Boot Camp is Saturday, if anybody knows any Newham. You gotta sign up in advance so that they just know how many and all that. So, but anyway. And let's see, it looks like there's a few QSO parties this weekend too. And that's over the next couple of weekends. Repeater stuff. Yeah, I pretty much just tell people to check the WAR website, Wisconsin Association of Repeaters. There's a long story to explain about the ARL stuff, and that has not been accurate for a number of years because of how they want the information sent to them. So I guess that is a long story there, but basically it's not right. So, and talking about Warren, I mean, that could go on forever, but looking around the room here, I actually have a couple of pieces of his stuff. I've got a EKIT VTVM from him, and a Radio Shack portable shortwave receiver, which is actually a Santian. The guys that made it, I think that's how you say it. I can't see the model number from back here, so I can't tell you that. But and that included a label on the back, you know, with his call sign and stuff. So I have some pieces of Warren memorabilia here. And I guess with that we'll say 73 to everyone who can hear any of this. And in the case of this net, that includes a lot of YouTube folks that might check it out. I always announce the thing on the MFOE net on Monday night, and I think a couple of the guys may have listened on occasion. Anyway, 73 to everyone out there. This is WB9 BWB.
All right, thank you, Dave. And yeah, you can never really predict who's going to be watching on YouTube. I had that 1 month where, for whatever reason, 800 people were watching. I'll never figure that one out. So, you know, the views go up and down. It's whatever YouTube or the AI at Google that runs YouTube or whatever decides. I guess. And I know at one point or another I had something from Warren. Can't remember what it was or what it would have been. But if nothing else, we all have plenty of memories, and I do have him in the log numerous times. I used to log every contact, and for a while on 2 meters, that was a lot of contacts. And I'll say 7-3 to you, Dave. And I'll turn that down because I don't want to hear that. Just looking to see, and there is one person watching the YouTube video right now, and I would say that's probably me, but I think YouTube filters that out now. If I watch my own video, it doesn't count. So that's probably Dale. And with that, we'll go to Dale, AB9DW. It's your turn on the 7-3 round from KC9UDX. Alright, unfortunately again, Dale, I cannot make out what you're saying, but I know you're there. And I will assume that you are just leaving, and I will say 7-3 to you. One of these days I'll get a different antenna, point it in your direction, we'll get that working. I've been saying that for a very long time, but one of these days it has to happen, sooner or later. And next we'll go to Steve, and 9FSC, it's your turn on the 7-3 round.
Alright. Those have taken off already. You pick up Dale, he did say a great net, and I'll catch you next week, but I think he's next one. Maybe somebody would show up next week. Who knows? And reminded me of some of the signals I watch on the Hermes Link 2 at home. You can see a carrier there, but you just don't hear any audio. They're weak enough. And that's how it goes with a lot of weak stations. So I don't know if you can. Maybe a compressor can help in that a bit, but sometimes there's just nothing you can do with it. Listen to other signals there, and you may hear a better headshot time or something. And a lot of neat features there. And I also noticed I was up a kilohertz. And I was like, oh, I gotta fix that but quick, so I dialed back in here, hit the lock button. And very good. Carol's modest working station there. Mine's even more modest at home. That's why I come to use antennas when I have opportunities. So that's why we're here once a month when I can make it. And I was also overlooking the station here. The last Amphis picked up a nice power cord for the 706 Mark II G here. And it came, I could have added one, but it came pre-assembled with a nice Anderson power pole on it. So all I had to do was clean it up. I put a tag on there for Agnita's mine, and now I can even more quickly set up this station here. Pull a few things out of bags, plug stuff in, and I have to wrestle with the overlong power cable that normally lives in the backpack the radio lives in. And W9RIX, he's also a West Side guy. Yeah, but his repeater covers, and I know his repeater, I heated it up, but only went out here in Waukesha County. It sort of covers the area of this neck. And Sufar's machine covers quite a good area. Keep that in my SCADA list in the mobile. more notes on Jim's high pressure. That is pretty wild. Especially if you have old pipes, you probably might not want the extra high pressure. You end up with more leaks or something. Blow out some stuff easier, but I guess that'll force you to upgrade and maintain your plumbing plant. And notes on repeater directories. You know, they can't DWR1 and many in a couple of decades or something. I may have one a couple here and there in a Hamfest or something. That's about the only ones I got. They're old already. But I do like the repeater book. That's sort of a crowdsourced type thing, and they got administrators for certain states, and Wisconsin has 3, and I know one of them is Paul up in Green Bay, so if something's really not so right that I gotta contact him, but usually I can just punch stuff in there, and it's updated pretty simply. I was just updating a few just yesterday, the day before, making sure that at least the counties I'm nearest to are pretty close to right. And also update a lot of machines I have a close affiliation with, one way or another, so try to keep that going. And the thing I really am pleased with is keeping the FM38 list going, so cause that's a behemoth, and they have a thing that repeaters up or down, you can easily quickly toggle that, so that works out pretty cool. If we have a site down, I can do that, and then once I'm sure it's up it's going to stay up, and I pop that back on. It makes for a nice list. So, on your crystal mat, I think it likes the springtime. That's why it doesn't get crazy right this month or something. Looks like the humidity and temperature. So with that, we'll say 73, but we'll be listening out. This is with the 2 a.m. Net and Company. Good to hear everybody. This is November 9, Foxtrot, Sierra, Echo. Back to Net.
All right, thank you, Steve. You know, I forgot about the repeater book app. I have it on my phone. I guess I don't remember the last time I used it. I'll have to look it over again. But I'm not seeing... oh, I guess it is on here. W9RIX. I see there's a WQ9A repeater. I wonder if that's still there. I did not know about that. Oh, that's 444.200. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I guess I forgot to mention when Jim was talking about the pressure. I guess that would be having the high pressure like that would be a really good reason to have a regulator, which would be a really good thing to have anyway if you're on municipal water, because you just never know what they're going to do. Once you have the regulator, you don't have to worry about it. And of course you can dial it in whatever you want. And I know what higher pressure like that can do to pipes. I even had an incident here at home a couple of years ago. It wasn't high pressure, but I had a pipe just burst. You know, not because of freezing or anything, just in the middle of summer actually. Got a pinhole leak and then it tore open. Completely drenched a mint condition computer from 1984. No, 1986 this one would have been. Anyway. Speaking of stuff bought from other hams, I am utterly surrounded by stuff that I got from Roland. What was Roland's call sign? Oh boy, I don't remember anymore. But before he bought the farm, he didn't tell anybody, but he knew. because all of a sudden one day he decided to sell all of his stuff, and I bought a good portion of it. Anyway, I'm talking too long here, so I don't recall if I said 7.3 to you, Steve. If not, I will now, and hopefully we'll hear you next month. And then, last but not least, Carol N9CXK, it's your turn on the 7.3 round from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net. And 9CXK, the station with the leastest over here, I guess. But, yep, I sure enjoyed speaking with everybody tonight. Glad you could all make it. I appreciate you running the net, Matt. I know I bet it's really a pain sometimes, but it works very well. And you know, this isn't a bad group either. It's not too big. It's not too small. And generally we can hear each other all the time, so it's good. I'm liking it. So, I don't know. There was a lot discussed here. Yeah, the 444-200 repeater, that one I believe is supposed to be just fusion. The other one is analog. The 440 repeater is analog. The 444 repeater is fusion. But it perhaps will operate fusion or analog, I'm not sure. But yeah, and that repeater, I've almost never heard anybody use the repeater on Lapham Peak. But I know at one time we had a surplus antenna. I gave it to W9DHI, and they put it up there for that repeater on Lapham Peak. But I think that's probably been changed years and years ago. So I'm familiar with that. That repeater works very well. I guess, Matt, the other thing is, how many radios does your daughter want to carry around? You know, if you could find something that was compatible with your simplex. I think you're on UHF simplex, so UHF repeater would be pretty good. Yeah. And, yeah, the 6-meter repeater is always there. Well, I forced the guys to figure out if we could get the antenna back where it's supposed to be. The antenna's only at like 80 feet or something. And a 6-meter repeater, and we contacted some folks, and it was going to be like $3,000 to have the guy climb the tower, get our antenna up where it belongs. I think we still have a feed line up there at 200 feet or something, but just to get somebody to come out and climb it and do all that malarkey, I guess. I don't know what we're going to do. Before too long, I'm gonna force the issue again and see if we can find somebody that'll help. None of us are going to climb it anymore. We're all kind of aged out of that now. And We Energies, I think, is a lot less forgiving about people going out on their property and doing stuff. So have to be a little more careful. I'm not really sure what's going to happen when I retire here, because I'm the last guy. So I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But everybody take care of yourselves. Hope you're having a good week so far. I will look for you all in various other places. 73 from N9CXK. Talk to you later.
All right, thank you, Carol. The only thing I can say is, you mentioned what Lorelei has. She has two handhelds that cover 5 bands, which is very handy. I've got the same 2 radios. One of them is the Linko. Oh, I don't recall the model number. But it doesn't matter because you can't buy it anymore. When they first came out with it, I bought 2 of them knowing that it wouldn't be on the market forever. That one does 220 and 900. And then we've got a tri-band, which you can still buy. That one does 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 23 centimeters. So, yeah, we have pretty much 5 bands all the time, which is really handy. And I guess I've never even listened to that 6-meter repeater, I don't think. Maybe I did in the past. I used to listen to everything, so I probably did. But I guess I'll have to check these repeaters out. Get back into that. It's been a long time. Anyway, I would say running this net is not a pain, but it is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of hard for me to do just because I have my time constraints, but it's not terrible, and frankly it used to be a lot worse. I don't worry about it too much anymore. Technically, any given month I may have to work and I won't be able to do this, but I have not, in the past 2 years, I have not run into that at all, and I don't anticipate that happening. But it could, you know, any given month there could be a Wednesday morning after the net where I have to leave here at midnight, in which case I will not be running the net, I will be sleeping. But if that happens, try to arrange for somebody else to run the net. We've always handled that in the past. Frank usually takes over, and I think Dave has a couple times too. But I guess I'll say this concludes the 2 a.m. net. I will say 7-3 to you first, Carol, and I look forward to having you next month. Also, I was going to say, you know, this is a good size for the group. We've had more, we've had less. We went a long time with just 2 or 3 of us. But we've always had a good time here on the 2 a.m. net. I will say, this concludes the 2 a.m. net. Feel free to reg chew on this frequency after my transmission. We will meet again on the 14th of May. Until then, this is KC9UDX 73, and good night.
KC9UDX from KS9Q short time.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Matt, I forgot to mention your transmitter sounds exceptionally good tonight. I'm not hearing any of the, you know, like whine birdie or frequency shift. It just sounds like it is bang on.
Yeah, there's something with that crystal. It's got to be. And I don't know what's different. I think it was Dave that said it. It's got to be the temperature. Maybe it was Steve. The temperature and humidity in here has got to be just perfect tonight, and that's the only thing that it could be. I've thought about this a lot in the past, and I guess I've got to get on it. I've got a fan pointed, you know, over the top of the radio. It takes all the heat away from that. The radio is actually cool to the touch, which is not the way this thing normally operates. And I've been keeping that fan on, but that hasn't always helped. What I probably should do is wrap some nichrome around that crystal and warm it up. You know, keep it at a constant temperature. But otherwise, yeah, tonight, when I first powered up the radio, it would seem to be drifting in frequency a little bit, but after that, I have not had a problem, which is kind of unusual.
Okay. Well, I was looking at it, because sometimes in past nets I've seen when you key up, the crystal just sort of slides into the operating frequency, and you can kind of hear the but not hearing that at all, and it just sounds fantastic. Just wanted to let you know that was working good.
All right, well, thank you for the report. Yeah, I don't get to hear it like that, but I know exactly what you mean because I can see my meter gradually increasing in output power. With the crystal comes into resonant frequency with the amplifier. But anyway, I will say thank you for the report. That's good to know. And otherwise, 7-3 from KC9UDX.
Okay, very good. Is your email good in KRZ.com?
Roger, and hey, you know what? I just keyed up there, and it did not. I had to rekey it to get it to work.
Yeah, I actually had the spectrum scope up and I saw a little bit of the drift. But I recorded a short stretch of your last transmission. I'll email it to you so you can hear it. 7-3, thanks for running on that. We'll talk to you later. This is KS9UQ.
All right, thank you again. 7-3 from KC9UDX.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Olin Marks, if I remember correctly, was KD9Y. I was going to do some sort of search, but it bubbled up in my mind here.
Yeah, that's it. It was on the tip of my tongue, and I couldn't think of what it was. I'm sure it's written down here somewhere, too. I'm literally surrounded by his stuff.
I ran a little trouble with a Fresnel lens and a couch once or something. Oh my goodness! And then I got some materials from Warren too. Most of it's paperwork. I got like crossbanding information setup sheet, and I was looking for operator's manual for a VT100 or 101 once, and he happened to have one, and I probably still have that next to the 100 down in the basement.
Roger. Well, we all remember him. He sure was a character. What an experience knowing somebody like that.
Yeah, of course, there's plenty of hands that are one of a kind types out there for sure. But he was in a rarefied era, that's for sure.
Roger, and like you say, there's plenty of them out there, but for some reason we don't. Well, I guess we do. We do appreciate them all the time, but more so when they're gone.
Roger. Well, that's better get shuffling the station down, do my spin the dial quick, and then get out of here. Thanks for running the net, and we'll see you at a polka show sooner or later. 73 again. Good night, FSC.
All right, sounds good, Steve. Yeah, I gotta shut down everything here too, so I will say 7-3 from KC9UDX.
Yeah, if we want to talk about characters, next time we can talk about W9HIF and his brother Lowell.
Well, I will write that down. There's no guarantees. I will understand why I wrote that down. W9HIF. That does not sound familiar to me at all. But I will write that down for next month.
Should be anti-warrant.
Yeah, Bud Keppel. And then he had a secondary call sign, and he always said that was his brother Lowell, who lived out at North Lake. He had that running for years and years and years. He was good friends with W9VSO, who just lived around the lake from me out here. Art Wahovius.
All right, well, this sounds like it's going to be really good, so if I don't bring it up next month, you'll have to remind me.
Yeah, I'll see if I can remember. But maybe some of the older guys would remember that. But he was a mainstay on 3191. But yeah, he was Bud, his W9HIF, and his brother was Lowell, and he had some other call. I think it was even like a 4 call or something, if I remember right. I don't know. Guys, have a good night. Matt, get some rest. Thanks again. And Steve, will talk to you soon. N9CXK 73.
That's even better trivia than KD9Y. What was the North Lake station of W9HIF's auxiliary station called? Oh my goodness. I don't know, maybe enough digging in papers I might be able to come up with that, but nothing quick. Don't know where to start. And speaking of AM, where we are, he was quite the AM right here. And say Fu and Aruga, and then he'd have this big ruler he'd start, or yardstick or something he'd have on the edge of the table and let that go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, enough of that or I'll be out here all night. LCE. Thank you.
All right, 7-3, guys. I'll have to get a ruler. I'm sure there's one laying here somewhere. KC9UDX.
Absolutely fabulous.
Something about El Shaddai, too. Whatever. MNFSE.